Well, good morning, everyone, and thanks so much for joining me today at Juanette's Crafting Corner. We are going to be working on our botanical journal and, more importantly, the front of the journal. So, as always, the people that I would like to thank for commenting on my last videos are listed here. Well, I think it's time to get back to replicating this cover, which was Italian. And if you remember, we did kind of a round spine using the Pringles can. And so I've gone ahead and added the spine to one of the front covers, and then this is, well, actually this is the front cover and this is the back cover. And all I've done is start by taking a little bit of this packing tape. It's just Scotch Secure Seal packing tape. And because the spine was a little bit more round when I took it off the Pringles can than what this one is, I have smashed it down a little bit. So all you have to do is kind of push down on it, and then it won't be quite so round. And then I just lined it up with the spine itself and then just added some of the packing tape. I ended up having to take that tape that I had put on the cover off because I had forgot to put a spacer in between the spine and the front and back cover. And when I went to go fold it closed, it wouldn't close. So I took the tape off and I added new tape, and I took off the plastic tape, the shipping tape, and instead used this brown tape because I felt like the glue would fit better or adhere better to it. So don't forget to use some kind of a dowel or spacer in between the spine and your covers so that they close nicely. So my plan for this journal is to decorate it up. You know, the kit I'm using is Medieval Mirage and Rachel from Roxy Creations, their botanical kits, which are bright and colorful and floral. So I don't feel I can leave the journal just like that. And I think what I was doing is laying in bed and it came to me. This is my favorite journal. This is my personal journal. You've seen it before. I take it to church every Sunday and I journal in it. But the thing I like the most about it, it has this glass nativity scene. And what I did on the inside is I put some fairy lights. And so when you look at the journal real close, the nativity scene lights up. And so I want to do lights again on the front of these journals, but with a garden scene. So it looks like there's lights in the garden. And so I have some more of the little fairy lights. And my plan is I have two different chipboards of gates. And so I thought I might do a lot of flowers intertwined in between the gates with the lights coming through. That's one of them. And then the other gate is this. Now, I had painted these with just gesso, I think white gesso. So lots and lots of flowers through here. And then I've got a couple of other chipboard pieces. I've got some birds. I've got a dragonfly. I have a butterfly. And I've got some other roses, but I also have some not only paper, but fabric flowers. So I learned from constructing this journal here, because if you look real close, the glass broke because I had put the glass on the journal and not built up something around it. And so it's not going to have a glass front, but I don't want the flowers to get all smashed. So I'm going to do fairy lights, okay? So before I do anything, like I said, I'm going to cover this journal that I've made here with this straw paper from Rachel. And then I'm going to cut slits in there and put some fabric ties just like this one. So let me take you through what I did. So I took the straw paper and I added a little bit of color to it. I used shaded lilac. I sprayed just a little bit of the wilted violet. I had a green. I'm not quite sure where it is. It's mossy something green. I sprayed a little scattered straw on it and a tiny bit of mustard seed. Oh, and there's a blue in there too, but you can use whatever color you want. I wanted a little bit of a variation than just the regular straw paper. And then, like I said, what I did is I took a craft knife, I measured my center, and then I did just little, maybe 1-inch slits with a craft knife. And then I took some of my Tim Holtz fabric. Now let me show you which one I used. I specifically picked this one because I wanted to use a little bit of orange in the one I'm making right now. And this has an orange hue. So I took 1-inch strips, just cut them and then tore them, and then took them to my sewing machine, folded them over, and then stitched them down. They're very raggedy, very, not perfect. I didn't mind that. I did want to tell you how I attach these. So like I said, I cut with a craft knife the width of my tie here, and using my pokey tool, I pushed it through to the other side. Now you can't see it because I've added this paper over, but I pushed the fabric through and then pulled it through. So see, it came in through there, and then I glued it down. And then after that, after it was glued down, is when I added this paper. And then to hold it down here on the front, I just used a little bit of Fabri-Tac glue on each side here to hold it down so it didn't flip up so much and it wouldn't tear or pull out. And what I did is I made sure that the raggedy edge on both the top and bottom was facing in, and I did the same thing on that side. So that's how I attached the fabric bands to tie the journal closed. So that's the front. And then for the inside cover, now the original one has blue paper, but because this is going to be botanical, I decided to put Rachel's like an apple green paper, and it looks like it's torn here, but it doesn't matter because I will be doing a hidden spine here to put in my papers, and so that will be covered up. And I want to show you the original one, what it looked like. So it's very similar with the exception of a little bit of color. I wanted some color there, but my ties are the same, and they will tie nicely just like the one over here. They will just tie in a bow to keep the journal closed. And then I will be adding some book page here like it is there. Now, let me show you what I did with a second original. So this is one of the originals, and it had those priest folios in it that I have for sale in my shop. I only have a few left for sale because these I'm keeping for myself. They're from the 1800s, and so I'm not going to sell all of them. But you see how it ties up there? I love how when I saw this, I thought, oh, I have to make a journal like this. And remember, the digital kits I'm using for this journal is Botanical. And that's why, number one, I used this type of fabric. And number two, why I wanted a little bit of color on the outside. Now, I went ahead and decorated one of the originals, and I'm going to show you what I did. And I'm going to take you through it. So this was the original. This is the one second one I'm going to do. I'm doing two botanical journals because one of these I want to keep for myself. And what I'm going to do is take you through the steps that I did to create this, along with this light here, this fairy light. So as you can see, you can turn it on and off at just a click of a switch. So for this area right here, what I used was just this. I bought this at Michael's years ago. It is nothing more than foam, just foam. And what I did was I cut strips. I used black and I cut strips whatever width this is, and I glued two of them together. Now the reason remember that I've done this is because when you lay this journal down, for instance, you have all your papers in there and you want to write. When you have it laid like that, if you have something like this around the edge, this stuff here that you've put in the center won't get broken. Remember I showed you the mirror or the glass etching and how that broke. Let me grab an empty box here and set that there so it's more even. So that's how I did this. I just, again, took foam that I got from Michael's. I cut it in these little, probably 1/4 inch strips, glued 2 of them together. And then I laid down 3 of them. I cut this one off here. And so let me just pull this in again and bring it over so you can see. So you're going to glue 1 here, 1 here, cut this one off and glue that one there. And of course you're going to have them straight. Now I wait until later to glue this top one, because what you're going to do is then bring in your lights and I got these lights. It's a pack. I probably got them off of Amazon. 6-pack fairy lights. I will try to remember to link these in the description box. And they're quite nice because all you have to do is pull this little tab out. It activates the light, and then you've got your fairy lights. And so what I did to put them down, now you want them to be hidden as much as possible. So it was a little finicky for me to do, but I was able to achieve it. Now let me see where the end is. And I don't think it really matters. Oh, there we go. It just kind of wraps around itself. And what I did, because, there we go. So what you're going to do is, because I put this gate here, and I have another one here for this journal. And what I did is I painted, this is just chipboard, and I painted this gate using this ink. It's just a liquid acrylic, Art Alchemy. It's just black ink. And I painted the gate. But what you're going to have to do is, because you can't just lay your lights down here every which way, and then, for instance, if there's a light like right underneath that black part right there, you lose the light itself. You lose where it is. So you want your light to be where it's going to show. And I strategically did that over here. I have a light there, a light there, light there. I didn't put any lights behind there. So what I did is I just took a little bit of Scotch tape. Now, This gate is going to be, I think, a little bit easier because this gate had this area here that you won't see through, as to where this has a lot of area that you're going to see through. So what I did is I just took tiny little strips of Scotch tape, just ever so slightly, just like this. And then if I needed to, I even cut them down further. And I strategically put the light where I wanted it. And like I said, it was a little bit finicky, but I put it all through the edging here, okay, on the gate. And then I had part of it strung out. Oh, and let me just let you know, first of all, what I did is I laid this in first. And what you need to do is glue it down. Let me bring this forward. Glue it down where the screws are facing you, because it's got just a little battery in there. And if your battery runs out, you need to be able to get a small little screwdriver in there to open that up to put a new battery in there. So make sure when you glue it to the inside of your cover that you don't glue it that way, that you glue it this way. And what I did is I glued it about like that, and then I brought this over and I just used my Beacons 3-in-1 glue and I glued it like that. Let me just bring that over, okay? So similar to that, my Beacons 3-in-1 glue, I glued it down, then I put some clamps on there, and then I was able to bring this over where I wanted it, and I just slowly glued and placed my fairy lights on the front of my cover. And I mean, if you look real close on this one, you can still see some. Now, I may not be completely finished with this one. There is a little bit there, you see, but I don't think it's all that bad. I don't think it's that bad. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to do your borders first, and then your gate. And then what I did next was I started laying my greenery around. Now I see this one doesn't have a lot of space in between the grills, the gate, like this one did. So I was able to put a little bit of greenery in between there. I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that unless, now this is what my plan is now, it's just come to my mind. Before I lay down the gate, I will take some of the leaves like I did here, and I will lay them down underneath before I add the gate. Now let me show you what leaves I used. These are from 49 and Market, and I like them. They're definitely not paper, but they're not a chipboard. And I just cut them down and strategically place them with just using either my Beacons 3-in-1 glue or my art glitter glue down. And I will do that first, so I've got some leaves behind here. And then, and I've got some more. This is from another kit. Because I don't have very many of those other ones, but yeah, I'll be able to use those, okay? And then what I did is I took some of this stuff. Now, this I got again from Michael's, and it's very dimensional. So I snipped off a piece. Now let's just grab a piece. Well, I don't want to cut it off yet because I don't know how long of a piece I have. But what I did is I snipped off a piece, and then I took it and I smashed it down because I wanted this to be as flat as possible. And then once I smashed it down with my fingers, I turned it over and I took scissors and I cut away some of that backing so that when I laid it down, it laid flat. And then for this right here, again, again, this may have been from Michael's, but it's just some wired leaves. So I was able to cut it where I wanted it to be. And I just laid it here and there on the book cover. And I used my hot glue gun for this, all those leaves, and in there. And again, I made sure that I didn't put any leaves over the lights because I wanted the lights to be shown through. Let's see, what is the next thing I did? So the next thing I did is because I wanted pink flowers and a little bit of purple flowers. And again, I may still put a few more in there. I took some flowers that I had, and these, I can't remember where I got them. Let's see. Oh, it says Sunny Side Up Bakery in the party section. I bet I bought those at Michael's. But there's some that have like little, they almost look like little flowers, because I tried these, but they were just too big. They stuck out too much. I don't know, maybe if I smashed them down, they would work, but it seemed like they were a little bit too big. So I took these and I spray painted with the colors that I wanted. I spray painted them with different colors of purple and some pink and some yellow. And then I also had some of these flowers like this. And these are from Hobby Lobby. They're Paper Studio. But I had some white ones and I spray painted those. So we've got some pinks and some purples, some yellows, some darker purples. And I just spray painted those using the Distress sprays. Now, for this new journal that I'm working on, because I've got some orange in here, I'm going to take these that are more of a ivory color, and I'm going to use these sprays to spray them. I want to have a little bit of an orange color. So this is Abandoned Coral. And then this one, that's a beautiful orange. That will match beautifully with this fabric. Let me bring in the fabric here so you guys can see. So yeah, that will look good in there. And then this is dried marigold, and it's kind of a lightish color. So I will be spraying some flowers with these colored: abandoned coral, dried marigold, and ripe persimmon. So, and then I laid the flowers down. So I laid some of these down here first in the bottom, and then some of the small ones there. And then for these little ball things, which can maybe look like grapes, these are nothing more than spongy balls. Again, I bought them in like a bulk quantity. I think they were white, and I spray painted them with some of my Stampin' Up paints, and I'm going to show you the different ones I have. So like I've got some green ones here. These are all Stampin' Up colors. I have some red ones, shaded spruce. So I have all of those there that I did some time ago. And then to kind of make this not quite so stark black, I used antique gold pentart paste, and it is kind of a wax paste, and I took just a little bit and ran it across the edges of this foam, so it wasn't, like I said, so stark black. And then on the door there, again, so it wasn't stark black, I used this, it's called Turtle Green. And again, it's the same stuff. It's a wax paste, and I put a little bit over the door. And then I took big globs of my art glitter glue, and I've got these tiny, tiny little seed beads. They don't have a hole in them. And I laid glue in there, and then I just poured just a ever so slightly bit of seed beads in there, and I used this little demi-tasse spoon to lay those in there. And then I used, like I said, something like this box to hold it up so that it was flat and they didn't spill out. So that's how I created this front of this journal. I really like it. I think it came out quite nicely. So I'm going to be doing this second one here. I might do a little bit, like I said, different coloring. This one's going to have some oranges in here, and maybe some yellows. I'm not sure what all colors I'm going to use. Like I said, I've got to go dye some more of those little stamens that I got, but I do have some of the yellowish ones. I think this was a mustard yellow. I do have a couple of little orange roses like this. Like I said, I need to smash them down so they get in there. But anyway, that is the journal cover for the Botanical Medieval Mirage and Roxy Creations digital kits, my botanical journal. And so next we'll be adding all of the pages into it. So thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it, and I hope this helped you to be able to add lights to the front of your journals. Thanks so much, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye-bye.